Calcasañas, which is the name of the house, because in 1810, the eldest daughter of the Casañas family married the heir of the Rossell family. In Catalonia, the heir is the hereu. They married and joined two lands, and the house became Calcasañas.
But the house is older than that.
Yes, the house from the 17th century. It's from 1637. It's a house of four winds. It had a protection wall around it in the past. That wall was destroyed, and in 1910 they built this enclosure. It was built in 1638. It is on top of a big rock. It seems we are in a sedimentary area, but we also have rocks here. They use this rocky place to build the house on top. It's a typical Catalan masia, with a large main entrance and rooms on the sides. The floor is the original from that time. In the 17th century, this was a work zone where they store tools. Some rooms down here were for the workers living in the house. The climate is Mediterranean. The sea is only 15 kilometers away, therefore we also have a breeze coming from the sea.
Do they bring humidity and some cold?
Yes, it is a breeze that arrives all the way to Villafranca. This brings us during the summer some wind that cools the temperature down during the afternoons. Sometimes it increases the humidity, sometimes it decreases it. It depends. In this area, we have a substantial influence from the sea. This is sedimentary soil. These are sediments, sand, lime. These are sandy loams.
Do they have good drainage?
Yes, pretty well. Clay is what does not drain well, but here are not dominant. Clay is common in other areas of Penedès, but in our area it's not dominant. It's not abundant. Ours are a little more fertile. We also have stone. The soils are deep. The vine roots can reach 8, 9 or 10 meters in depth. In this area we use a term. We want our vineyards to have saor. This is when water is retained at a depth. That's why it's important to have rain at the end of the winter. March, April, May, because the water reserves stay at high depths, not superficial, and stays there for the hard summers. We started with ecologic viticulture in 2012. We had to pass a conversion period of 2 years because the land had been worked in a conventional way for many years. Synthetic fertilizers are completely forbidden. Organic or of organic origin, from products that are also ecologically guaranteed. This decreases the nitrogen levels in the vineyard substantially. In transiting to ecologic, you usually lose 15 to 20% of production because you cannot use powerful fertilizers as it was done before. That first. After that period, the vine cycle auto-regulates. Xarel·lo is an autochthonous variety of Penedès from way back. Specifically, in our case, it accounts for 50% of our vineyards. We have old vines and younger vines for the different types of wines that we do. The climate of this middle area of Penedès, around 160 or 200 meters in altitude, works very well for Xarel·lo. It is a grape tolerant to disease. It is a large grape grown in not very tight clusters, with hard skin that maintains very good acidity. Here in Oriol Rossell, aside of some rosé wines, 90% of our wines are from autochthonous varieties. Once we have pressed the grapes, the must arrives here, which is where we do our base wines for Cava, and also the still wines. Those are done slightly differently. First, we elaborate the base wines for Cava from the earlier harvest because we look for grapes with higher acidity and lower alcohol potential, less sugar. Why? Because Cava wines are lower alcohol and higher acid. Particularly because we have the second fermentation, and it is important that they have these characteristics. The second fermentation in the bottle is the traditional method. This method was created spontaneously by Dom Perignon in France. Once we have the basic wines, we bring the bottles here. We have added yeast and sugar, and we have closed the bottle with a crown cap. We add sugar and yeast that we have previously fermented in the pie de cuba, as we call it. The bottles arrive here and we wait for the second fermentation to occur. We lie the bottles here horizontally. The yeast inside the bottle eats the sugar and reproduces during some time, until after a month or 1.5 months there is no more sugar. The yeast dies and deposits in the bottle. What has happened during the month of fermentation? The gas created the fermentation cannot leave the bottle. The gases are stuck inside the bottle, creating an inside pressure of about 6 atmospheres. This carbonic is what produces the bubbles. The yeast precipitate, and the alcohol level increases from the sugar that has been converted in a very controlled amount. After that we do the crianza. We leave the bottles to rest according to the Regulatory Council, a minimum of 9 months for the young cavas, 15 months for the cavas reserva and 30 months for the cavas gran reserva. Here we go well above these minimums. These lees provide Cava with a special bouquet. The yeast degrades what we call the autolysis process, and they break down. But we cannot drink all these. Here in Oriol Rossell, we clarify the bottles with a pupitre, around 14,000 bottles every day. Imagine 14,000 bottles each day by hand. We turn every bottle a bit. Every day we place the bottle a little more vertical. This way, the lees which have been here 7 years, 5, 4, we keep moving and they go to the neck of the bottle. In about 7 to 8 days we have all the bottles in this position and all the lees in the neck. We then move all the bottles from here to upstairs by an elevator. And once they have completed the riddling process, they go to be disgorged. This is when we take the lees out. We freeze the neck of the bottle in a deposit with a specific ice, with liquid at -25 degrees C. The liquid with lee in the neck gets frozen, a machine opens the cap and the inner pressure displaces the lees out of the bottle. Then we close it with the cork and we add the morrion to prevent the cork to be expelled due to the 6 atmospheres of pressure. We clean the bottles, apply the labels and leave them resting for 15 days before hitting the market.